and to Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Komadiki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association to all of us.
All glories to Vrinda.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Vrinda.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Go ahead, Neetu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Bhagavata.
Hare Krishna Neetu Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your attendance. We are so happy to have you on the call. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Balvrunda Dandavat Pranam. Balvrunda's mother Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada Salabhadeva Vijay Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association every day. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat pranams to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Lalitangi Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna Lalitangi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day, giving your association. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna, is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay, we will wait. We will chant another 2 minutes and then we will read the Srila Prabhupada quote. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Yeah, we'll start the recording here. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Sukha Sagari Mataji to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat, Madhya khanda, 5th chapter, 145 to 151. Before I hand over the call to Sukha Sagari Mataji, I would like to read Srila Prabhupada's quote for today. Today is November 22. We are neither renounced nor enjoyer. We are simply servitor of Krishna. Please follow this principle and you will be never disturbed and in any frightened condition offered by Maya. Letter to Garga Muni, November 22, 1968. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Sagari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining on this holiday time and giving your sweet association. I now hand over the call to you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams to all the devotees. Just a disclaimer before I start off today. Today's topic is about Sadhu Ninda, Vaishnava Aparadh, and this is basically preaching to myself today, and in the assembly of all glorious Vaishnavas. So I just wanted to make it clear that this is preaching to myself in an attempt to purify myself. And I wish to thank the organizers, especially Preeti Mataji, for giving me a chance to study this section of the Caitanya Bhagavat. so that I can, this helps me to purify myself that way. So before we continue, let me quickly share a short PPT. It's not a great one, but hopefully can. I hope everybody's able to see. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, we'll start off with the invocation verses, the invocation prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So let me quickly pull up the Caitanya Bhagavatam verses and I'll have to share that one. Yeah.
Mataji, you requested us to read, right?
Sorry, Mata. Yeah, I mean, it'll help if people want to read, or I could read to whatever works, Mataji.
I don't know. I did not hear. You were paused, so I did not understand. Okay.
Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead,
just
Mataji.
pulling up the verses. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So today we'll be reading from the Caitanya Bhagavata from the Madhya Khanda and chapter 5 from verse 145 onwards. As we can see, the title of the chapter is Lord Nityananda's Vyasa Puja ceremony and his darshana of the Lord's six-armed form. So far we've seen how arrangements are being made for the Vyasa Puja ceremony, so that Lord Nityananda can observe the Vyasa Puja for Srila Vyasadeva. And there are so many things that have happened because Lord Nityananda is not too happy to offer Vyasa Puja to Vyasadeva, because it's explained in these verses that people in general may look at Vyasadeva as just a devotee or a living entity and not the Lord himself. So Lord Nityananda wanted to make sure that everybody understands that Vyasadeva is none other than Lord Krishna's incarnation. So we are actually worshipping the Lord himself. So Nityananda Prabhu, he wants to worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and these are some of the things that happened. And also in course of this, the topic of how a person must look at the Lord and the Lord's devotees non-differently, in the sense that the Lord's devotees are more merciful, and the Lord and the devotee of the Lord, they take equal pleasure in glorifying each other. So the Lord likes to glorify his devotees, and the devotees in turn, they like to sing the Lord's glories. So both their positions are very exalted, and as practicing Vaishnavas, we should be actually respecting them both and giving them both the honor. Especially Nityananda Prabhu, he is the Guru Tattva himself, emanates from him, and so he is the Adi Guru or the Parama Guru, and without the Guru's mercy, it's not possible for us to approach Srimati Radharani or Lord Krishna. So when we look at a devotee, we should also, consider, we should make it clear in our mind that we should give them all the respect and never create offenses against them. So these few verses will be in that vein. It will discuss more into what are the kinds of offenses and that should be avoided, and how it is important to avoid these offenses. So we can start with the verse for today, and I will recite and read, and I hope if devotees are inspired, you can also follow on. Yata papahaya prajajanirahimsile tarashata gunahaya vaishnava nindile. Yata papahaya prajajanirahimsile tarashata gunahaya vaishnava nindile. English translation: it is 100 times more sinful to blaspheme a Vaishnava than to be envious of ordinary living entities. Commentary: Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Lord Vishnu is situated in the heart of every human being. And although Vaishnavas appear to be ordinary human beings, they are always situated as Vaishnavas due to their inclination towards the service of Lord Vishnu residing in their hearts. Ordinary human beings are bereft of the service of Vishnu and are situated in the modes of passion and ignorance, whereas Vaishnavas are fully saturated with the mode of goodness and are constantly engaged in the service of Vishnu. So if one carefully considers the differences that exist between them, then it is understood that by envying a Vaishnava engaged in the service of Vishnu, one incurs 100 times more sins or offenses than by envying an ordinary living entity. So here we see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has, in one sense, defined or described offense towards Vaishnavas by using the word envy. So as we can see here, he says that envying a Vaishnava incurs 100 times more sins or offenses than by envying an ordinary living entity. So he particularly uses this word envy. So we can see that, offenses, aparadhas towards other devotees, they arise as a result of this envy. And envy is actually nothing but that comes about because of the pride and the false ego which we have, and which we think that I must be this way and I must be that way, and why am I not like that? So that in turn gives the pride or the false ego, gives rise to this envy, because we want to be something we may or may not be, and that's why we see here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has particularly used that envying a Vaishnava incurs more offenses than envying. So he has used this interchangeably, like, envying is what leads to offenses, like that. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.4.13, it is stated, Nashcharyameta yadasastu sarvada mahadvininda punapatma vadishu seshyam mahapurushapada pam subhe nirasta tejasu tadeva shobhanam. Okay, I didn't read it in the proper meter. Sorry, I didn't catch the meter there. It is not wonderful for persons who have accepted the transient material body as a self to engage always in deriding great souls. Such envy on part of materialistic persons is very good, because that is the way they fall down. They are diminished by the dust of the feet of great personalities. In the Skanda Purana, it is stated, Yo hi bhagavatam lokam upahasam nripottama karoti tasya nashyanti arthadharma yashasutaha nindam kurvanti ye mudha vaishnavana mahatmanam patanti pitrabhi sardham maharaurava samyite hanti nindati vaidveshti vaishnavana krudhyate yati no harsham darshane patanani shat. Purvam kritva tu sammanam avajñam kurute tuya. Ya Vaishnavana Mahipala Sanvayo Yati Sankshayam. My dear king, if one derides an exalted devotee, he loses the results of his pious activities, his opulence, his reputation, and his sons. Vaishnavas are all great souls. Whoever blasphemes then falls down to the hell known as Maharauya. He is also accompanied by his forefathers. Whoever kills or blasphemes a Vaishnava, whoever is envious or angry with a Vaishnava, and whoever does not offer obeisances or feel joy. So these are like the 6 different Vaishnava aparadhas which are being listed here. Whoever kills or blasphemes a Vaishnava, whoever is envious or angry with a Vaishnava, whoever does not offer obeisances or feels joy upon seeing a Vaishnava, certainly falls into a hellish condition. O ruler of the world, one who first respects a Vaishnava and then later insults him is vanquished along with his family. In the Amrita Sarodhara, it is stated, Janma prabhriti yatkinchit sukritam samuparjitam nasham ayati tat sarvam pidayed yadi Vaishnavan. If one gives pain to Vaishnavas, then the results of his pious activities, like high birth and high caste, are all destroyed. In the Dwaraka Mahatmya, it said, Karapatraischa phalyante sutivrairyamasashanai nindam kurvanti papa Vaishnavana Mahatmanam. Pujito Bhagavan Vishnu Janmantarashaterapi Prasidati na Vishwatma Vaishnave Chapamanite. Those most sinful people who criticize great Vaishnavas are subjected by Yamaraja to the severe punishment of being sliced in pieces by very sharp saws. Lord Hari, the supersoul of the entire universe, is never pleased with a miscreant who insults a Vaishnava, even if he has worshipped Vishnu for hundreds of births. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Krishna Janma Khanda, it is stated, Ye nindati hishikesham tadbhaktam punya rupinam shatajanmarjitam punyam tesham nashyati nishchitam te patanti mahaghore kumbhi pake bhayanaki bhakshita kita sankhena yavat chandra divakaram tasya darshana matrena punyam nashyati nishchitam gangam snatva ravim drishta tada vidvan vishuddhyati. Those who criticize Lord Hrishikesha and his devotees lose all the benefits accrued in 100 pious births. Such sinners rot in the Kumbhipaka hell and are eaten by hordes of worms for as long as the sun and moon exist. If one sees a person who blasphemes Lord Vishnu and his devotees, then the results of all his pious activities are lost. When learned persons see such non-Vaishnavas, they purify themselves by taking bath in the Ganges and looking at the sun. Quite a heavy purport by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur here. It's almost scary, right, to think of how should we interact with devotees? What should we, do? Are we supposed to be always on guard? And what needs to be done, so that we can avoid these kind of offenses? Because we are not sure, some offenses may occur, we may be aware of some offenses that we may be, doing towards devotees, but in some cases, the offenses, we may not even be aware of what offenses we are doing. So many examples are given in the scriptures too, right? When we'll discuss a few examples as we go ahead. And this is the next verse. I can read, and if anybody is inspired to read the commentary, I'll appreciate that. श्रद्धा करी मूर्ति पूजे भक्त नादारे मूर्ख नीच पति तेरे दया नाही करे एक अवतार भजे न भजे Ara Krishna Raghunate Kare Bheda Vyava Ekak sorry Ekavatara Bhajena Bhajaye Ara Krishna Raghunate Kare Bheda Vyavahara Balarama Shiva Prati Prita Nahi Kare Bhakta Dhamma Shastre Kahe Sabhajanare. English translation: those who faithfully worship the deity form of the Lord but do not respect his devotees, those who do not show compassion to those who are foolish, wretched, and fallen, those who worship one incarnation of the Lord and do not worship other incarnations, those who discriminate between Krishna and Ramachandra, and those who have no love for Balarama and Shiva are, according to the scriptures, the lowest of all devotees. Anybody would like to read the commentary, Mataji?
I can
Or
read,
Prabhuji?
Mataji. Shall I read, Mataji?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mata.
Commentary by Gaudiya Bhashya by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Those who faithfully worship the Supreme Lord but do not worship the devotees engaged in his service and inseparably related to him, those who do not display mercy by instructing the fallen souls bereft of the Lord's service, and those who do not display mercy by giving up the association of atheists averse to the Lord, are described by the scriptures as low class persons devoid of devotion. If worshippers of Rama envy devotees of Krishna, or if so called devotees of Krishna blaspheme worshippers of Sri Ram Sita, then they should not be counted as devotees but as low class persons. Lord Vishnu resides in innumerable Vaikuntha planets in his various eternal forms. Those who have no faith in the existence of that Vishnu or in his devotees are fit to be called Adhama or low class. The worship of those who blaspheme servants of the Lord like Baldeva, Lakshmi, Garuda, Vayu, and Rudra is incomplete. That is why the Srimad Bhagavatam 11 to 47 declares that devotees situated on the platform of Kanishta Adhikara are eligible to fall down into material existence as follows. Archayam eva haraye pujam yashraddhaye hate natat bhakteshu chaneshu sabhakta prakrita smritaha. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. There are two kinds of Vaishnavas, ordinary or unauthorized Vaishnavas and pure or authorized Vaishnavas. The Vishnu Swami Sampradaya originated from Rudradeva, the Sri Madhava Sampradaya originated from Brahma, the Ramanujan Sampradaya originated from Sri Lakshmi Devi, and the Nimbarka Sampradaya originated from the four Kumaras. If someone respects one and blasphemes another by taking into consideration their mutual disagreements, then he certainly falls from the platform of Kanishta Adhikara. All the demigods and the demigoddesses pass their time fulfilling their responsibility of serving the Lord, and their interested positions are known to this world. Yet, their constitutional position as Vaishnavas is not lost. If one out of material conceptions disrespects the demigods and demigoddesses, he cannot have devotion to Vishnu. If one accepts his spiritual masters or the demigods and demigoddesses to be devoid of devotion to Vishnu, then he commits offense. But by worshipping the interested positions of the demigods and demigoddesses and thereby forgetting the service of Krishna, one cannot achieve any benefit. That is
Mataji,
why.
is it okay to pause here for a second, Mataji?
Yeah. Okay, Mataji, yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks so much for reading so beautifully. There are several things here. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati is explaining, Thakura is explaining in this purport. He is defining, the Prakrita Bhakta, one who is still in the material conception, and or a neophyte devotee, and what are the stances, or what is the position of such a devotee who is just starting out. He or she may just recognize the deity and offer seva to the deity, but may not be very respectful towards the Vaishnavas, and because they think that, okay, my business is between the Lord and myself, so that's all is needed. I don't need anybody else in the picture. But here, as we see, so nice details are given that of all the bona fide sampradayas in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, we are taught to respect the positions of the demigods and the servants, whoever is serving Lord Vishnu. If one accepts the spiritual masters or the demigods and demigoddesses to be devoid of devotion to Vishnu, then he commits offense. So when we need to understand the position of the demigods and demigoddesses, as they are the servitors of Lord Vishnu, and especially it is quoted in the Shastras, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He is the topmost Vaishnava who actually is worshipping Vishnu like that. So we need to respect them, and we need to recognize their position as the top devotees of the Lord. All these demigods are engaged in the service of the Lord. But then also here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati immediately brings us, to this understanding that by worshipping the interested positions of the demigods and demigoddesses, and thereby forgetting the service of Krishna, one cannot achieve any benefit. So immediately he also brings this to our notice that we should not get too much carried away, and we should understand the position of the Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord, who are offering so much great service to the Lord. But at the same time, we should not forget our service towards Krishna, because then if we forget it, then it's of no use. We cannot achieve any benefit. Yes, Mata, we can continue reading if you would like to go ahead, or anybody else would like to also, it's okay. From that as well.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yeah. I can go ahead?
Yeah, Mata, that is why from there.
Okay, but by worshipping the interested positions of the demigods and demigoddesses and thereby forgetting the service of Krishna, one cannot achieve any benefit. That is why Thakura Narottama has said, Rishike Govinda Seva Na Pujiba Devi Deva Yeta Ananya Bhakti Katha. I will engage my senses in the service of Govinda, and I will not worship the demigods. This is the description of unalloyed devotion service. Becoming unalloyed in the service of the Lord does not entail blasphemy of the demigods. All the demigods and demigoddesses are under the shelter of the Supreme Lord, and therefore, simply by serving the Supreme Lord, the worship of the demigods is automatically performed. If one worships a particular demigod or demigoddesses, then other demigods and demigoddesses become displeased. But if one worships the Supreme Lord, then all the demigods who are subordinate to the Supreme Lord are automatically worshipped. Blasphemy of a Vaishnava is hundreds of times more severe than blasphemy of an ordinary living entity. Therefore, no intelligent person should tread such a path. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you so much, Mata. Thank you so much, Mataji, for beautifully reading. Yeah, so here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur re-emphasizes that, our service, unalloyed devotional service, must be offered to Lord Vishnu. And this will also please all the demigods in turn. And, just offering services to particular demigods or demigoddesses may leave others displeased. And there are so many demigods and demigoddesses who are actually serving the Lord. So the best way and a safe way would be to worship the Lord. In that way, all the demigods also will be pleased, and we don't have to, offer prayers to each of them like that. So it is important for us to recognize the high position, the exalted position of these demigods who are serving the Lord. But at the same time, we should remember that we should be offering services, or we should be offering devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, like that. But again, blasphemy of a Vaishnava is 100 times more severe than blasphemy of an ordinary living entity. Because when a Vaishnava is hurt, because the Vaishnava is the representative of the Lord himself. So Lord, the Vaishnava may be forgiving himself, but the Lord does not forgive so easily. We'll be seeing later today how we can ask for forgiveness whenever we think we have committed an offense or we are in such a position like that. So I just wanted to bring some examples here to the fore. Even in the previous verse, like sometimes when we commit offenses, we may not even be aware of the offense we are committing. So it also takes special mercy to even understand that we have committed offenses. So sometimes we may be so blinded in our own pride and in our own ways of life that we may not even know that this is an offense. That's why it is very important to have Vaishnava Sangha, because whenever we are committing some offense in the in the flow of things, and we may not even recognize it, but maybe there is a Vaishnava well-wisher who may point it out to us and let us know that, hey, you're crossing the limit here. This has happened to me personally, and I so appreciate devotees who care for us like that, right? So it is very important that we should be surrounded by Vaishnavas, pure-hearted devotees who are our actual well-wishers. So they are not duplicitous in behavior, and they guide us, and they can stop us on our way if we are committing offenses like that. The examples of Bharata Maharaja is given. He was so attached to the deer, and he had to take another birth, so many other births, because of this attachment, and he was secluded from Vaishnava association. And and also the other example of the very common or the popular example of Rupa Goswami is also given. When he was in a meditative trance, he was just smiling, he was actually meditating on the pastimes of Shri Radha and Krishna, but then limping Vaishnava, a Brahmana, actually crossed that path, and he thought that he was actually making fun of him and laughing at him. So immediately his trance broke like that. So even though it was inadvertent, it was not at all, Rupa Goswami is such an exalted Acharya, but then they teach us by their example. So all these pastimes in one sense are for us to learn how to, how important it is to respect the Vaishnavas and not to, and to be careful, because even inadvertently, even without our knowledge, maybe somebody is getting offended. Like sometimes we may not know, and we may just cross the limit when dealing with a Vaishnava like that. So all these examples help us to understand like how even a small offense like that, it broke his trance then and there like that. So we'll move on to the next verse. Archayameva hare पूजां यश्रद्धये हते न तद्भक्तेषु चान्येषु sabhakta prakrita smritaha. English translation: a devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. So this is again Kanishtadhikari. There's so many terminologies, right? Kanishtadhikari, Prakrita Bhakta, like that, neophyte, used to describe the same thing. Also, we have various scriptural references. Some verses, like I think this verse is from the Bhagavatam, where what are the different levels of devotees are described. There's also some description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then there's also descriptions in the Nectar of Instruction, also regarding, I think it's verse 5, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, regarding the different levels of devotees, Kanishtha, Madhyama, and Uttamadhikari, like that. So more or less, the idea is that the Prakrita Bhakta or the Kanishtadhikari, he just realizes, or he is very keen on his relationship with the Lord, and he fails to recognize the devotees of the Lord around him. The Madhyama, and he is just trying to learn the Shastra, so he's not very much, his faith is still a little here or there, so it's very important at this point that such a devotee gets devotee association so as to strengthen and not away from the path like that. And the Madhyama Adhikari is the devotee who is actually kind of versed in the Shastras. He's not like an expert in Shastras like an Uttamadhikari, but then he knows enough Shastra to preach like that. And he totally believes in the power of association, the devotees, and also he offers devotional service to the Lord like that. And an Uttamadhikari is at the topmost level, and he is well versed in the Shastras. He can engage in debates, and but they choose not to engage in debates, as you see, very exalted Vaishnavas are like that. And but then they are very well read. That's what it means when we say that they can engage in debates. And they are at such a position that they do not discriminate, though they know what position a particular person is. They do not discriminate among any devotees of the Lord, or anybody, in fact, even an non-devotee of the Lord, because they only see the propensity to offer devotional service to the Lord in every living entity. So with that, like the famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Shuni Chaiva Shopakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So they have an equal vision towards everybody, because they see everybody as a servant of the Lord, very befitting to offer service to the Lord, and they are very keen on how to engage that person in the service of the Lord. So if you see, like when Maharajas are talking to first timers to the temple or to newcomers to the temple, they go down to that level so as to make them feel so comfortable. And sometimes I've seen, like my own Shiksha Guru, like Her Grace Guru Bhakti Mataji. I attended her classes on Bhakti Shastri, and the way she used to teach us was as though she's learning from us. So she always put herself in a humble position like that, and it never occurred to us that she was the teacher. She used to open up the class for such beautiful discussions, and like we used to have like very heart to heart discussions. And the way she actually orchestrated the whole class, she'll be, oh, okay, is it like that? Oh, I see, as though she's learning from us. But she's a very exalted devotee who's a very advanced devotee who's been practicing devotional service for such a long time. But the way she conducts herself is, as though she doesn't know anything, and she makes the other person feel better, so they can open up their heart. And so those are some things we can learn from the advanced Vaishnavas. They actually put themselves in such low position so that they can encourage everybody around them to speak up. And so when we have another person open up and speak up, that's when they will take to Krishna consciousness. So she really excelled in that art. Like, she would put herself in a very low position, and the class was as though we were teaching her, but actually she was teaching us. So okay. Yeah, so that is like advanced devotees like that. They are at a very high position. They know how to interact with people. They know how to recognize what position a particular person is, and how they can engage them in service. So those are like really advanced devotees we can learn from. Moving on, there's okay. प्रसंगे कहिला भक्ता धमेरा लक्षाने पूर्ण हैला नित्यानंद षड्भुज दर्शने. In the course of these topics, I have described the symptoms of the lowest devotees. Thus, Nityananda became filled with bliss on seeing the six-armed form of the Lord. Commentary. The symptom of the lowest devotee is to give up the worship of the devotees on the pretext of worshipping Hari. As a result of such activities, there is every possibility that such a devotee will become bereft of Lord Vishnu's service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord and his associates and consider that worship of the devotees is more important than worship of the Lord are actually advanced devotees. There is very little possibility of their falling down, because they know yase deve para bhakte yatha deve tatha guru tasye the kathita yartha artha prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Let's move on to the last verse for today. He Nityanandera Shadbhuja Darshana Iha Yeshu Naye Tara Bandha Vimochana. One who hears this narration of Nityananda's seeing the six-armed form of the Lord is free from material bondage. Okay. So I'll quickly stop this share and share the PowerPoint presentation I had. Okay, these are some some notes I gathered from. Let me stop sharing. I would like to show you the book. If you can see, this is the book Reflections on Sacred Teachings, and this is titled Radha Shunya, Missing Mercy. And this is a book by Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. He has written several book series, and this is one of the books on Vaishnava Aparadha. It's a very interesting read. So I gathered some notes. This is not a comprehensive study of the book, just bits and pieces that I have gathered here and there. So all these material which we'll be discussing today are from this book, and these are just a few of the notes that I made from the books. I thought it'll be nice to read from what Maharaj has realized and shared in his book. So the basic definition of aparadha is given, and Maharaj says in the Gaudiya Vaishnava dictionary version, the term aparadha is defined as Radha Shunya, devoid of Radha's mercy. Thus, aparadha means becoming devoid of Radharani by creating a situation by which the blessings, the mercy, the protection, and the benediction of the divine caretaker of bhakti is absent. So we all know Radharani. She is nothing but the personification of the Haladini potency of the Lord, the internal potency of the Lord, and Radharani is the epitome of bhakti. Nobody can equal, because she is the highest, she is the epitome of the Haladini potency or of devotional loving service or devotion to the Lord. So in theory and in practical, it is not possible for anybody to reach that level of devotional service. And because she's like the top of it all there, like that. And also the mercy of, when we speak of the mercy of Radharani, we also saw, in the verses there, how the mercy of the Guru and the Vaishnavas is also required. So we need two people's mercy. One is the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and then, two personalities' mercy. One is the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and the other is the mercy of none other than Nityananda Prabhu. And why do we need the mercy of these two great personalities? So in this material world, as we can see, I'll be discussing, okay, maybe I'll move on to the next slide, and that may help us better. So this is a short digression I took from where I was. So many different kinds of aparadha are discussed in our scriptures. So these are taken from the Skanda Purana, and also these aparadhas are also listed in Nectar of Devotion, and also in Srimad Bhagavatam 7th Canto 5th chapter, which we will soon be going in our Srimad Bhagavatam session. So many different types of aparadha are there, and my aim is not to discuss all of them in detail, but at least so that we can be aware of what all are the different aparadhas. In the execution of service, seva aparadha, there are 32 offenses. These are detailed in the Nectar of Devotion and Srimad Bhagavatam too, like I said. There are also 10 offenses to avoid while chanting Nama Aparadha. We are all very aware of this because we generally recite this in the morning. And then to be avoided are Vaishnava Aparadha, which I have listed below in the last paragraph, and which was also listed in the purports which we just read. Dhama Aparadha, offenses to holy places, and Guru Aparadha, offenses to the spiritual master. So I will not be going into the details of these, but at least, because we are discussing the subject of Vaishnava Aparadha, it will be worthwhile to see what these are. The foolish person who criticizes an exalted Vaishnava falls down to hell, known as Maharaurava, along with his forefathers. Whoever kills a Vaishnava, blasphemes him, feels malice towards him. Feels malice towards him is like, kind of is not happy. He has like ill feelings for the Vaishnava, does not properly greet him upon seeing him. This is so important, right? Becomes angry with him or does not feel joy upon seeing him, certainly becomes degraded as a result of these 6 types of misconduct. So these are the different types of aparadhas, and it is very important that the first step is at least to recognize, okay, that these kind of aparadhas exist, and we just read about them so that we are careful in our dealings. Because if we do not even know that these are aparadha and we commit them, then that will be very detrimental to our bhakti lata, right? Because the devotee may be forgiving, but the Lord is not very easy, when his devotees are offended, he is not very easy on them. So in that sense, it's important to know what are the different kind of aparadhas. So we should be very friendly with devotees, in the sense that at least we should greet them properly, and not get unnecessarily angry with them. And so many nice examples are given in our scriptures, right? Like how even when Maharaja Prithu, he was conducting the sacrifice, and then Indra wanted to stop. Vishnu comes and preaches directly to him and says that, just give it up. Winning is not the purpose, like that, right? Winning is definitely not the purpose. So just give it up, at this point. And Prithu, very humbly, he agrees to that. So that is the mood of a Vaishnava, they're not in it for winning. They're only there in the game to bring a devotee closer to the Lord, like that. So that's so many nice examples are given in our scriptures, to discuss this. And so going back to the point where we were, so when we do not do these things and engage in those kind of aparadhas which we just saw, we lose the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Srimati Radharani. And why do we need the mercy of these exalted personalities? In this Kali Yuga, it is not possible for us by our own dint, right? By our own dint, by engaging in sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, that we become pure devotees of the Lord. Because there are so many ways where we will be, even without knowledge, without our own knowledge, we may be committing offenses, we may be doing some things wrong, and we may not be really able to progress in our spiritual path. So it is even more imperative, and it's even more important that we strive for the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Radharani. That's the reason why we need their mercy, because by ourselves we are really, really not qualified. And the way to get the mercy of Sri Nityananda is that the mercy of Sri Nityananda can be achieved by only serving the devotees. And by getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda, we can approach Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna. There's actually a very, very beautiful bhajan in this relation, which is Nitai Pada Kamala. And Srila Prabhupada has given a beautiful purport explaining how Nityananda's mercy is so important to getting the love for Sri Radha and Sri Krishna, like that. So via Nityananda we approach Srimati Radharani, and then via Srimati Radharani we approach Lord Krishna, like that. So it's a very beautiful bhajan. I was thinking that we should be actually singing and reading the purport, but these verses, like I said, I mean, each of the verses can be a class in themselves. And I have more things I thought we can discuss. Let's see, depending on time towards the end, if we can sing the bhajan and read the purport. So beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, so we were saying that Srimati Radharani's and Lord Nityananda's mercy is required for us to make any kind of spiritual progress. right? Because by our own dint, we may not really be qualified to make any progress like that. So the first point is seva to devotees, like I just mentioned. By doing seva to the devotees, we can get Nityananda Prabhu's mercy. And then how do we get Radharani's mercy? We just saw the definition of aparadha as the absence of Srimati Radharani's mercy. So the way to get Radharani's mercy is to avoid any kind of these aparadhas. So one way Maharaj mentions is we should never insult anyone. And then the example he gives here is of Suruchi, how she insulted Dhruva Maharaj. I will just read a few excerpts from there. Never insult anyone. Having insulted Dhruva Maharaja, Suruchi became maddened upon the death of her son, entered a forest fire, and thus ended her life. This was specifically mentioned by the Lord to Dhruva Maharaja because Dhruva was determined to take revenge against her. From this, we can take a lesson. Never insult a Vaishnava. Not only should we not insult a Vaishnava, we should not insult anyone. When Suruchi insulted Dhruva Maharaja, he was just a child and she did not know or recognize his position as a Vaishnava. So Maharaj is warning us, somebody may just appear to be a child, or somebody may be just starting in the devotional service, and we should not disrespect even a non-Vaishnava because we never know what their true position is, right? Later, they may become one of the greatest devotees like that. So we should be very careful to not even, leave alone offending Vaishnavas, but we should not offend even non-devotees because we don't know like where they're heading to. When Suruchi insulted Dhruva Maharaja, he was just a child and she did not know or recognize his position as a Vaishnava. She insulted him before his full manifestation as a great Vaishnava. Although we know that this was his destiny, by her insulting him, even as a child, the offense had such a serious effect on her. Therefore, we should be careful in our dealings with everyone. We don't know who they might be or who they might become. So Maharaj further describes what is the seriousness, how the seriousness of the offense and the advancement of the devotee are related. So he gives a relation between them. The seriousness of offenses is proportionate to the purity and advancement of the devotee offended. So the more advanced the devotee is, the more serious the offense gets. So that's how serious it is. Normally, what happens is that devotees take each other for granted, and offenses are made on both sides or all sides, and consequently, all the offenders suffer because such offenses bring contamination to the beautiful culture of bhakti. Devotees tend to take the importance of proper association lightly. Sometimes they have issues with each other and do not handle those issues the proper way, creating in-groups, out-groups, grudges, and offenses. Everyone involved suffers due to this unfortunate process. So Maharaj has given so much more detail. It's actually a very good book to read, when it doesn't take more than a couple of hours. It's a short book to read. So I would encourage if devotees are inspired to get a copy of this book and read. So this is one of the things where, we shouldn't be insulting anybody. He also gives another example of Haridas Thakura. For example, when Haridas Thakura was beaten in 22 marketplaces, he forgave all who had offended him. But Krishna punished those who deserved to suffer. We have a duty to be polite and kind to everyone. Even when driving your car or pumping gasoline, if someone is offensive to you, then they will suffer for that. If you find yourself getting into an argument with someone, it is best to get away from the situation, because if you cannot help them, you do not want to cause them to undergo additional suffering. So here Maharaja is also trying to bring out the point that the compassion of a Vaishnava or a devotee is not in such a way that they does not only comprise of not committing offenses, but it also, a devotee must ensure that they are not creating a situation where others could commit offenses, in the sense that somebody else may blaspheme them, and in turn they would be creating offenses and they cannot get onto the path of bhakti. So a Vaishnava or a devotee must be very careful that not only they not commit offenses, but they also create an atmosphere where the other person also does not commit any kind of offenses. So nicely, so many details Maharaj has given, but I'll skip to the next thing, which says, do not preach to the faithless. So this is actually how Maharaj is taking this. We do read this, right, as the ninth offense to the holy name. We do not preach or the holy name to the faithless, like that. So how Maharaj has addressed this as how a devotee or a Vaishnava is compassionate. So this do not preach to the faithless is actually taken in the mood of compassion to others, taking compassion a step further. That's how he says. When we are moving about in society, we must try to see everyone as a devotee, even though some may be more covered than others. Recently, let me skip through this. Sometimes it is said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. A devotee who is distributing books might be harsh, rude, and condescending towards others due to the idea that his or her service is far more important than what anyone else is doing. Such a devotee will find it hard to appreciate someone else's service and activities. This mentality is inimical to the mood of the spiritual world, a place where the residents compete to serve others, care for others, and facilitate others. Our mundane consciousness will position us in Radha Shunya. So he's trying to, Maharaj is giving so many nice examples here, how to understand how we should, behave with devotees. It'll distance us from the mercy of the divine facilitator who is overseeing bhakti. The real test of our spiritual consciousness is not so much based on how we serve when we are in the direct presence of our spiritual masters. No, our consciousness will be tested by how we relate to each other, especially to our peers and those who we may feel ourselves superior to. It is easier to appear very devotional or reverential in the Bhagavatam class, hearing the class with attention, in front of the deities, having darshana, or directly in service to our Guru, where the physical presence alerts us. That reverence doesn't really show what is deeply embedded in our consciousness and what we are really about. So this is totally speaking about myself here, giving a class, but being the biggest fool here. So how to respect the faithless? Where there is the ever-increasing mercy of Srimati Radharani, there is constant conscientiousness in all matters of service. He describes here, because we are running short of time. Maharaj is describing here, like I had mentioned earlier, that how we can be merciful to the faithless is by not trying to preach to them. We should be careful that they do not commit more offenses, because when you're trying to preach and you're in a position of a Vaishnava like that, you don't want the other person blaspheming you and in turn committing offenses. So Maharaja has made like a few points here. Our mentality and our concern should be recognizing that here is an eternal jiva who belongs to Krishna, our Lord. We do not bring a drunkard or a dacoit to our centers because we know that such people will most likely be devious. The main reason that we do not bring them into the temple is not because they're wretched, but because if they came into the temple, they will injure themselves by making offenses. Therefore, we do not want them in the temple. When they come, they will walk with the shoes, talk very loudly, or do wretched, crazy things. If they come, we are likely to commit the ninth offense, preaching to the faithless. If by showing them the temple or preaching to them, they become offensive, we are engineering them. By allowing them to come, they will make offenses in this great tirtha. So this is how, by not preaching, don't preach to the faithless, we are actually respecting and we are protecting the faithless people. He also goes on to say antagonistic people may be Christians, Buddhists, impersonalists, derelicts, or the homeless. We practice the etiquette of careful interaction with them because we are concerned that whoever connects with us will be benefited. So that should be our end aim, that whoever connects with us will be benefited. And not that I'm here to preach, I've learned something, I want to give it. No, that should not be the mood. It should be like, how can I benefit the other person? Okay, I know something, but is the person ready for it? Should I give it to him or her now, or should I wait some more? And that's how a devotee needs to think, so that the others are actually benefited. If we cannot give them any benefit, we do not want them to get more entangled in karmic reactions and have to suffer more. Therefore, we may pass out some prasadam to them, say something friendly to them in the yard, or when we see them in town, we may say Hare Krishna to them. But we do not bring them into our environment, because that would not help them. In this way, the Vaishnava is always thinking about the welfare of others. So when we read this thing, do not preach to the faithless, it is actually another form of a devotee showing compassion to the others who may not have faith. So we don't want them to commit more offense like that. So these are a few of the things Maharaja discusses. There's a lot more, very beautiful details, and there's also question and answers at the end of each chapter. I'll just read out one question. Can you discuss the distinction between feeling disturbed and holding a grudge? This is one of the questions. What should we do if we have angry thoughts about another devotee? So very interesting book like that. But let's move on. Okay, this we discussed. In the third, I'm skipping on to the third chapter now. In the third chapter of this book, Maharaja actually discusses the difference between sin and aparadha. The sin or papa, how he defines it, means engagement in improper or unhealthy activities and may involve only us personally. It may also be against someone else or involve someone else, but essentially a sin is an assault on morality and on ordinary dharma or piety. But then aparadha is offenses that are committed towards other devotees. So the process of mitigating a sin or a papa is much easier in one sense compared to mitigating an aparadha. Because for a sin, when somebody commits a sin, I mean, we can take up to one of the processes of the devotional service and get rid of that sin. It's not too grievous in that sense. The sin is also compared, like what I'm saying is just from the book. What Maharaj says is that the sin is also compared to a thin layer of dust, which can be wiped easily, but the aparadha is like a thunderbolt. And so that takes a lot more of repair work like that. So we have this very nice example from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where we saw how Ajamila, he was engaged in all sinful activities, right? So many sinful activities he was engaged. And but then towards the end of his life, when he was having a family, his wife was, serving the devotees. She was serving the devotees of the Lord like that. And he also took to calling out his name, Narayana, to his son's name. And then just because of that, that potency, he got a second chance and then went back to Godhead like that. So he was a very sinful person, but that is not so grievous, or it's that can be the effect of the sin can be wiped away more easily than an aparadha. Aparadha takes a lot of work to actually get over or to mitigate an aparadha, because there are two things which Maharaj discussed in this regard. One is kshama or forgiveness, and then the other thing is anugraha. Anugraha means winning the favor of the devotee who we have just offended like that. So how can we know that an aparadha has been committed? Usually we find that, in practicing devotees, we can see that so many devotees are reaching an advanced level and practicing so nicely. But then after some time, their practices come down, they lose taste, and they're not able to really do as much devotional service, pure devotional service as they were earlier. So these are all, in one sense, like symptoms of loss of Radharani's mercy or Radha Shunya. So these are all symptoms like that. So when we see that, okay, sometimes, our devotion mood is going down in a very bad way like that. So if we are not aware of what aparadha we may have committed, the best way would be to chant, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the best way is to chant the names of Lord Hari, and that will take us more closer, to Krishna, uh, uh, and remove these aparadhas which we may not actually be aware of, which may have happened inadvertently. So chanting is like a cure-all, a panacea, which will work for all situations. But then when we know that, we have committed an offense towards any other devotee like that, so two things come into play. One is kshama and anugraha. So Maharaj in the book he gives the example, a simple example of a car thief. So a thief, he steals the car of a person, and he recognizes that he has made a mistake, and so he goes and apologizes to the person and says that, hey, sorry, I was the one who stole your car, blah blah, I'm sorry about my act, I wouldn't repeat it like that. But then that itself is not enough, to get rid of, what he has done. In this case, it's a mundane sin, stealing, but this is given as an example to understand anugraha, what winning the favor means. So the next step the car thief must be doing is to actually make some money and, get that car and give the car to the person from whom he stole. So that's how he'll be winning the favor of the person, right? So just by asking for forgiveness, and having taken away the car, it does not cut any eyes there. So he needs to actually do something in return so as to, win the favor of the person who he has offended. So in this case, the example of Daksha is given. So Daksha, he offends Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva actually forgives him. Daksha begs for forgiveness and he forgives him. But then the Lord does not forgive him so easily. So we see that he takes another birth, right? He's born again to the Prachetas and Marisha. And there again, because of some of this, because of his offense to Lord Shiva, which is still lingering somewhere there, he commits another offense to Narada Muni there, because Narada Muni, he actually preaches to all his 10,000 sons and makes them, all devotees of the Lord. So he gets very angry, and so he curses Narada Muni that you will never be in any place, you'll be roaming around the whole universe like that. So which Narada Muni takes it very nicely because he can preach more. So Daksha, because of his lingering or whatever remaining, sin or aparad which he had committed towards Lord Shiva, had to take another birth like that. So in that case, there's also many other examples given, like of how Lord Nityananda Mahaprabhu, he forgave the Jagai and Madhai, but Lord Krishna himself, he's not ready to forgive so easily like that. And let me see, there are so many more examples, but I don't want to take more time like that. Anyways, the point to understand here is that when we commit a Vaishnava aparad, we should also make it up to the devotee. We should try to win the favor of the devotee, like, offer service to them, do something pleasing to them like that. And that's the way we can actually mitigate our aparatha, because otherwise it may come back to bite us, even though, because the Vaishnava is so merciful, right? They are very merciful. But, the Lord may not forgive us like that. So we also, this are the other example also of how, like Durvasa Muni and Ambrish Maharaj, when Durvasa, he upsets, offends Ambrish Maharaj like that. So Lord Vishnu wields his Sudarshan Chakra, and he says that only when he forgives, you have to go and fall at the feet of the devotee, and only when the devotee forgives can I the Sudarshan Chakra will be taken back like that. So the Lord may not forgive easily. The devotee is very forgiving in that sense like that. So moving on. In this regard, Maharaj describes in the 4th chapter like 2 important qualities of forgiveness and forbearance. So many examples are given, like 4 to 5 examples. If it is okay with the organizers and everybody, I can discuss one example of Kuresha and Kulotunga, if it is okay, or if it is time up, then, maybe we can get a copy of the book and read. So
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
yeah, this is so beautiful, this Kuresha. It was like, I mean, so inspiring to read. The other examples, the Rajasuya Yajna is also very beautiful, but I don't know if we have the time for all, but it's very beautiful. Like, I will read the Kulotanga and Kulashekara one. The power of devotion and extreme forbearance. So this is describing, when we say forbearance or tolerance like that of a devotee, so that the devotee must be very tolerant and also a well-wisher of the other person, like I said, even a non-devotee, because a devotee's real intent is for the other person to not cause any offenses or to not commit any offenses. So a devotee should be careful to not cause others to commit offenses. So this example is for that, forgiveness and forbearance. The power of devotion, extreme forbearance. There was a great Acharya in the Vaishnava lineage, Ramanujacharya, who was an eternal associate of Krishna and extremely potent and powerful. King Kolutunga I, whose capital was in Kanchipuram and whose dominion included Sri Rangam, the temple where Ramanuja was especially influential, became very disturbed and envious of Ramanuja. King Kolutunga was a follower of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately, most followers of Lord Shiva do not care to heed the connection that Shiva has with his own worshipful Lord, the Supreme Godhead Vishnu. Again, this is a problem with so much of religion, a narrow-minded focus that lacks a holistic vision. Due to this narrow-minded focus, King Kolutunga was disturbed by Ramanuja's ability to spread Vaishnava Dharma. He wanted to convert Ramanuja and his followers into worshippers of Lord Shiva so that other people would also take to the worship of Lord Shiva. He had 2 plans. See, he had 2 plans how to convert Ramanuja to a Shaivite. His first idea was to bring Ramanuja to an assembly where Ramanuja would argue with the king's Shaivite Panditas. If Ramanuja defeated the Panditas, then the second plan would be to kill Ramanuja. His idea was to stop the propagation and spreading of Vaishnava Dharma at all costs. Ramanuja had 2 disciples, Mahapurna, who was actually the disciple of Yamunacharya and in the position of Ramanuja's guru, but served Ramanuja sincerely as though he were a disciple, and Kuresha, who was the initiated disciple of Ramanuja. They both knew how this king had been duplicitous in the past. When King Kolutunga invited Ramanuja to come to his palace for a spiritual discussion, these 2 loyal followers revealed their suspicions of the king. Kuresha offered to take Ramanuja's cloth and to present himself as Ramanuja, and Mahapurna would go as the spiritual master of Ramanuja. So Kuresha, his disciple, he wants to protect his guru, see the mood of the disciple towards the guru. The situation unfolded as they expected. The Panditas gave their arguments in favor of Lord Shiva's supremacy, and Kuresha and Mahapurna gave arguments showing Lord Vishnu's undeniable supremacy. The 2 Vaishnavas were repeatedly successful in the debate. The king flew into a rage, imprisoned and tortured them, and finally ordered that their eyes be plucked out. Even after being severely beaten, tortured, abused as well as blinded, when they were presented to the king, Kuresha stated, "May Lord Narayana bless you for allowing me to serve my guru in this way." So even at the point when he has been blinded by the king, Kuresha is only saying thank you because you allowed me to serve my guru. Even the hard-hearted king and his men were awestruck. The king's servants gave some money to a beggar to lead the 2 sadhus out of the city. Mahapurna was quite elderly and was mortally wounded by the torture, but he died gracefully in Kuresha's arms, accepting the suffering as his service to Ramanuja. He was proud that he was able to protect his wonderful disciple Ramanuja, in whom he saw the embodiment of Yamunacharya, his spiritual master. He spoke his final words to Kuresha. You must go alone to Srirangam, for I can tell that the time has now come for me to leave this world. There is nothing to lament over, for my mind is fixed on Yamunacharya, and I am longing to be reunited with that great soul. When you meet again with my beloved disciple Ramanuja, offer millions of obeisances at his feet on my behalf. Not long after this tragic incident, King Kolutunga became incurably ill and died a short time later. His son Vikrama became the king and later on became an initiated disciple of Ramanuja. When Ramanuja heard, this is the beautiful part, when Ramanuja heard what had happened to Kuresha and Mahapurna, he was overwhelmed with compassion, contemplating the great trauma these great Vaishnavas had undergone. He was very concerned about their welfare. Mahapurna had gone back to the spiritual world, but it was very painful to learn that he was tortured and had suffered so horribly. Ramanuja requested Kuresha to go to Kanchipuram and worship a very special deity named Varadaraja, knowing that this deity was extremely powerful and that Kuresha was pure and dedicated. Ramanuja knew that there was bound to be some special reciprocation between the two. Between the two, here referring to Kuresha and Varadaraja Perumal. By the dedicated and steady worship of this deity, the deity became inclined to speak to Kuresha and offered to give him whatever he wanted as a way of reciprocating Kuresha's devotion and service. Normally, we understand that a pure Vaishnava is not interested in boons. They only want to serve Krishna and never forget Krishna. But Kuresha was ready to accept the boon. He asked that the person named Chaturgrama, who had agitated King Kolutunga against him and created the situation by which he was blinded and tortured, be delivered from material existence. See the magnanimity. He's saying that this person, Chaturgrama, be delivered and receive the Lord's mercy. The Lord agreed, but pressed him further to receive another boon. Kuresha replied, I pray that King Kolutunga shall be the object of your greatest mercy. He did not hold a grudge against all those who had tortured him, nor did he try to destroy them. Not only did he forgive them, but he also asked that they be given the highest possible benediction. What could the Lord do? The Lord responds to his pure devotee, Ye yatha mam prapadyanti. They were both liberated. When Ramanuja heard how the deity had reciprocated and how Kuresha, instead of asking something for himself, had asked for mercy for those who had been great offenders, he was overwhelmed. Ramanuja requested Kuresha to continue with his puja or service. He sent a message to Kuresha, next time you have such a special encounter with the deity, for my sake and on my behalf, you ask Varadaraja to give back your sight. Ramanuja reminded Kuresha that Kuresha's body belonged to him and that to make him happy, Kuresha should make this request of the Lord. Such a beautiful lesson, right? We are learning that our body, everything we have, all our talents, all our faculties, we have to use in Guru's service. Kuresha was very pure, loving and dedicated, and the next time the deity spoke to him, he apologetically prayed, O most merciful Lord, some time ago, I lost 2 valuable possessions belonging to my master, my Guru. By your grace, I would like to recover them this day. The deity Varadaraja immediately gave him back his sight. So amazing, right? The story is so heart-touching like that. This story is very powerful. It teaches that the power of devotion, love, and extreme forbearance is greater than any deviation. So there's more things how Maharaja has discussed in the book. I'll just cut it short. The Rajasuya Yajna is another beautiful pastime, but maybe for later. I'll just cut it short here. I mean, there's so much more to speak on this topic, but towards the end, Maharaja says that humility is the key, because when we are when pride overcomes us, that's when the false pride or the ego and things like that overcome us, then we tend to offend the other person like that, right? Because we want to be in a superior position like that, and that gives rise to envy and other things, as we had discussed earlier. So the simple way is to Trinada Pisunichena Taro Rivashaishnuna. So the simplest way for us to not commit aparadhas is to assume a very humble position. Like we saw how the great devotees of the Lord, right? Like how we saw in this case Kuresha, how forgiving and how kind, and he never asked anything for himself. But when his guru himself told him that, your body is actually my property, and so you should ask for your eyes to be returned, he just asked. So many wonderful examples we have around us of how Vaishnavas should behave and deal with other Vaishnavas. So humility is the key. That's the chapter 4's title, what Maharaja has given in his book. And beautiful examples are also given there in that chapter, but I will just pause here. And I would like, please forgive me if I have committed any mistakes or, in what I just said. And please feel free to correct me and share your realizations. Thank you so much. There's, like I said, there is a ton more to speak on this subject, but yeah, we'll take it up some other time perhaps. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for such a nice class. This was full justice, 100% justice to all these verses. I loved everything that you discussed about the different apparats, devotees' nature, everything that you covered today. Thank you so much, Mataji. I thoroughly enjoyed the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Preeti, for giving an opportunity to purify myself.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji. It's very, please accept my humble obeisances. It's very nice. The class was very nice. All the examples and this description, and also giving how offenses and bad elephant. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Please give more classes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhataji, for your kindness. Yeah, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. And I just would want to mention special thanks to my husband too, because I was like, I need to give a class on Vaishnava, and he's like, here's the book for you, and you should read this up. So thanks to him too. Yeah, it's very much
of its book.
Hari Bol
Sorry,
Mataji, thank you so much for such a beautiful class and so many nice examples you're giving, and so many different situations how we can end up in aparadha and we don't even know that we did an aparadha, and we sometimes think okay they are small kids or that person who just now came into Krishna consciousness, and we try to being conditioned, we think okay they are not advanced than us, we can tell whatever we want to tell to them. So we should be very careful. We never know who they are going to turn. You gave example of Dhruva Maharaj, how beautifully it is said, like that story explains that how we don't know how that person going to turn tomorrow, and then we have to take all the offenses now. So we should be very careful. We should see everyone equal, like you have quoted from Bhagavad Gita, that was. And thank you so much, Mataji, for such a beautiful class. First 10 minutes or 15 minutes, there was a lot of disturbance around. I couldn't hear, but later, everything I heard very attentively, Mataji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class. A lot many lessons for me to be very cautious when I'm talking to devotees. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. See you soon.
Hare Krishna, this is Balavinda. I like your class and I want to read the offenses book.
Yeah, she wants to read that book, Mataji. You said it will finish in 2 hours, right? She's going to finish that book. She's saying that she wants to read that book.
Oh, sure. Yeah, when you're home, you can do that.
Later.
Yeah, later. Yeah, she'll come and read now, Mataji.
Yeah, very nice. I know. Yeah, sure.
Krishna,
Thanks so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji, Koti Dandavat. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Devi, all story Mataji's, especially Kuresi's stories and that other stories, Mataji, it's touched to heart that what should our mood to serve Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Sri Tata Gopinath. And when somebody is insulting us, what should our mood instead of given an answer, our behavior should be touched to their heart. That should be our mood. And Haridas Thakur story and the other story, Mataji, all stories are touched to heart. I will hear 2, 3, 4 times, Mataji, and we all are eagerly waiting your devotional bhajan, Mataji, devotional.
Yeah, Nitai Pada
Susukapodan
Kamala.
Sutsu.
You said that you want to sing that, right, Mataji? I forgot about
Yes,
it. Yeah.
Mataji, especially that Nitai Pada Kamala. Whatever you sing, but that is touched to our heart.
Lalitangi has
Mataji.
sent. Thank you, Mataji. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
Lalitangi had sent a personal message waiting for the bhajan. I don't see her here though. Maybe she logged off. She has some
Thank you,
service.
Mataji. Koti koti dandavat pranam. Hare
Yeah, if
Krishna.
the organizers are okay, Mataji, after the Q&A, we can.
Yeah,
Yes,
we are okay,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Priti
Everybody
Vilasini
else is
and Bhakti
also
Sangha
okay,
team permission. We will after that you sing.
Anybody else has any realizations they would like to share, please?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all grace to Srila
Dhanavad
Prabhupada. Thanks for such a nice instructive class, Mataji. Like these were like instructions to me
To
actually.
myself. To myself.
Yeah, Mataji, I want to know the name of the book because I joined in between. So can you please let me know the name of the book?
Yeah, it's called Reflections on Sacred Teachings, Volume 6.
Okay, Mataji. Sure.
And this is by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj.
Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. Yeah, thanks, Mataji. I think I need to read this book a number of times so that we can put all those things in practice. Actually, thank you, Mataji. It was
Lot of
really
examples.
instructive and enlightening. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. All grace to Shishi Guru and Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Anybody having any more questions, or else we can move to the bhajan? Yeah, Komati ki Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, go ahead for the bhajan.
Okay,
That's
Mataji.
what I was
Sure.
going to say.
Sure, Mataji. I'll quickly share the bhajan and stop sharing this. Yeah. Can you all see the bhajan?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. This is by Narottama Das Thakura, Manas Shiksha. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala, Je Chaya Jagat Jura, Je Chaya Jagat Jura, He no Nitai Bine Bhai, राधा कृष्ण पाईते नाय दृढ़ कोरी धारो निताय पाय दृढ़ कोरी धारो निताय पाय से संबंध नहीं जा मृथ जन्म गेलुता সেই পশু গুরু দুরাচার সেই পশু বড় দুরাচার নিতাই না বইল মুখে মাজিল সংসার সুখে বিদ্যা কুলে কি করিবে তার विद्या कुले की कोरी अहंकारे मत्ता होया नीताय पाद पसरिया असत्य रे सत्य कोरी मानी असत्य रे सत्य कोरी मानी नीताय करुणा बे ब्रजे राधा कृष्ण पावे दारुणिताय चरण दुखानी दारुणिताय चरण दुखानी नितयेर चरण सत्य ताहारा सेवका नित्य नितय पदा सदा कोरो आशा निताय पदा सदा कोरो आशा नरोत्तम बोरो दुखी निताय मोरे कोरो सुखी राखो रंगा चरणेर पासा राखो रंगा चरणेर पासा जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय जय श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय
जय जय नित्यानंदा,
Yay.
जय जय गौरांगा. Thank you, Mataji. Koti koti dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Do we have time to read translation purport, Mata, or it's too
Yeah,
late?
yes, Mataji, only 4, right? We can read. I will read one.
Yeah.
The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight on not only one but of million moons. If the world want have a real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Hari Bol. Someone else can read the second. Want to read? Anyone?
Okay, which one?
Anyone?
Anyone who has not established a relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his valuable human, but bird such as a human being is actually uncontrolled animal because it's never attended. The holy name of Nityananda has become merged into so-called material happiness. What can his endless education and family tradition do to help him? Sorry.
Anybody else would like to read third and fourth?
Mataji.
Yeah, please.
Being maddened after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, no, what? What is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he is accepting something false to be truth. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he is merciful towards you, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Therefore, you should firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. The lotus feet of Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact. One who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. This Narottama Dasa is very unhappy. Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. My dear Lord, please keep me close to your lotus feet. Jai. Okay, the purport is wonderful. So when you have the time, please do take a minute to read it. Thank you, devotees. If there are no
So
more
you have
questions.
opened this in ISKCON Desire Tree. Okay, somewhere else. Okay, not in KK Songs, right?
In KK Songs too, there's a link to the purport.
Oh, there is a link to purport. Okay, okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sukha
Hare
and
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji, thank you so much. Komadiki Mataji, you want to speak?
Yes. Is it okay?
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead. Komadiki Mataji, please. Please, Mataji, unmute yourself. I don't know
Can-
something about it. Yeah, please unmute Mataji. I don't know. I was asking you to unmute. You are not unmuting.
Mataji, you were saying something, Mata? Kaumadiki Mataji, we can't hear you. You're muted still.
Yeah, she muted and unmuted again. That's why I'm not even asking her to unmute. I don't know, some issue, some technical issue. Komadiki Mataji?
Oh, yeah, I got it now. Hare Krishna. Can you hear?
Yes, Mataji. Now we can hear you.
Okay. So there's a one, I think, I don't know, somehow I read one verse about the Nitai, one who ignores Nityananda's lotus feet and don't take the shelter. So then his life is useless. It's and one who ignores them, he just goes. I forgot. Sorry about. But then, yeah, Lochan does say, one who doesn't take, then he came and left. He didn't get anything. Means he came to this world and went without getting mercy of Nityananda, something like that. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, thank you for sharing. Yes, Mataji, we have to firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, like Narottam Dasi.
Yes. And there's one way that will possible when he says, one who chants, Gauranga, and tears comes in the eyes. But then Nityananda gives all the facilities for us to chant nicely and go back
Yes.
to God. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. Yeah, even like Maharaj mentions, the way to please Lord Nityananda is by serving Vaishnava Seva.
Yeah. And also, I have read about the Gauranga. The devotees usually try to serve devotees anyway. But this is also in one of the songs, Lucian Thakur said, man who does not say Nitai, his life is useless. So he just comes and goes. Doesn't get anything. Very nice. Lucian Thakur songs are also nice. Like that. Hare Krishna.
Which bhajan are you referring to, Mata?
I forgot the whole song, but
Is it by Bhaktivinoda Thakur?
no, it's Lochan Das Thakur.
Narottam Das Thakur. Okay.
Lochan Das.
Oh, Lochan Das Thakur. Okay.
Yeah, Lochan Das Thakur. He says, in another verse, some places say, one who does not take shelter of Nitai and does not glorify, then the Vajra falls on it.
Akruta Paramananda?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But I have, now I'm forgetting some things. So even to greeting the devotees, that is also I'm forgetting. I have to what to say like that. So so I'm waiting for my grandson to give me a hard copy because I transferred this that Vinita Gandharika Mataji send me the two, what is it called, in a PDF, something
This one,
like
Nitai
that.
Gunamani, Ama?
Maybe. I have to look and then the next time I can say.
I think that one only, Mataji, the jewel of all virtues. It's saying that only, na? What Mataji said, jewel.
Yeah. Nitai Gunamani. Prabhupada also sings this very nice Nitai Gunamani. Amar. Nitai Gunamani. Nice.
All the bhajans are filled, like, with our philosophy, like so much of the essence of the philosophy is there in the bhajans.
Yeah, Prabhupada had said that if you cannot read books and things, Bhagavad and like that, just read these bhajans and sing those bhajans of the Vaishnava devotees like Narottam Das Thakur, Vachan Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, And there's a Vasudev, Vasugos,
Mhm.
and there's so many songs. And so when we read this book and hear this or sing this, our heart becomes the soul heart. It becomes softer.
Thank you, Mataji. You're always teaching me something new about bhajans always. Thank you so much for that.
What am I teaching? I'm just saying what I heard. And thank you very much for the nice songs. And I always like to hear when you sing. I may not understand, but I like to hear. Thank you, Mataji. Very
Thank you.
nice.
All glories to
Komadiki
Shri
Mataji.
Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Komadiki Mataji, for your sweet encouragement for all of us in the group. Your blessings are very much needed for all of us, Mataji. So sweet of you. Always encourage us. Very grateful to you, Mataji. And Sagari Mataji, thank you so much for very nice class and also nice bhajan at the end. I would like to end the call here. Vanchakalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhu piyavachapatidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai
Hare
Srila
Sukha Sagari Mataji
Mataji
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
All glories to Shri
Very
Gauranga and Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Ho.
Jai Jai.
Thank you,
Jai,
Mataji, for
Jai,
teaching
Hare.
us and Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.